Hello, Fluffers, and welcome back to Fluff It, a podcast for furries by furries. My name is Felix, a purple wolf from the United States.
And my name's Uno, and I'm a green raccoon from the United Kingdom.
And welcome back to Fluff It. It has been quite some time, and we are definitely looking forward to beginning to record once again. We've had quite some busy weeks, but we are super excited about what is to come. We have a special announcement that in a few weeks in Anthrocon, we will be holding a Fluff It panel, and we are extremely excited for that. It will be our first ever time we record together in public.
Yeah, I still can't get my head around the fact that we've actually got a panel. It hasn't sunk in at all. I don't know if it will sink in until I'm literally on the way to Anthrocon, but I'm extremely excited. I can't wait to share that with everyone and share it with everyone in person as well as on the recording afterwards. So that's extremely exciting.
Yes, we are incredibly excited. If you are coming to Anthrocon, please come by and say hello. We will be having our panel Friday night at 7 o'clock. But speaking of furry conventions, we are not talking about Anthrocon today. We are talking about Confuzzled. And here to join us is Hadley, a person who also went to Confuzzled with Una Raccoon.
My name is Hadley. I've been part of the furry fandom now for about 7 years. And Confuzzled was actually my first convention, but I have been to a lot of meets and such beforehand. But what I can say is a convention is very, very, very different to a meet. 100%. There's not even any similarities apart from the fact you wear a big fluffy costume there.
So, talking about Confuzzled, since you've brought it up, so what exactly is Confuzzled and where is it held?
It's held in the beautiful city of Birmingham in the West Midlands at quite a large hotel called the Hilton Birmingham Metropole. It's a specialist built convention hotel, basically. So it has got really good facilities. It's got restaurants, bars, there's plenty of rooms there. There's plenty of space to move around, really. It is a really good sort of venue. It is a very big con. I was quite amazed when I first walked in. I was like, where are we? Like, where's the rooms? Where's the furries? What is this place? It's just like, it's a big maze.
About what time in the year is this held? And do you know how many people are in attendance each year?
I think they said around 2,500 people attended. Wow. It takes place usually at the back end of May, which is quite good because my birthday is also at the back end of May. So.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Yeah, tends to be when Furry Week in Atlanta, although they've moved it up more towards the beginning of May, which is my least favorite time because I'm still in college and finals. But it's awesome that this is a perfect time for the two of you. And the fact that it's about 2,500 people, that is a huge convention, especially for a furry con. Now, were any of the furries abroad?
There was quite a few, yeah. There was quite a lot of furs from the US. There was quite a lot of furs from other parts of Europe as well. But most of the people there, I thought, were from the UK.
So, Uno and Hadley, when you first walked into those doors, I know you talked about it a little bit. What was kind of your first impressions and first thoughts when you started seeing furries everywhere in the hotel?
Well, my first impression, I mean, we walked in sort of by accident through a smaller entrance. So immediately we didn't see that many people. But as soon as we got into the lobby, it was just absolutely packed. And obviously we had to queue up for our sort of room keys and for registration as well. So honestly, my first impression was really good. But I did think immediately it was quite overwhelming just because we'd gone from quite a sort of normal town and normal sort of train journey to this sort of very vast convention full of people like us. So it was quite overwhelming at first, but I think within the first sort of night and the first sort of few hours that are getting involved in what was going on, it really started to sink in that like this is what's actually happening now after wanting to do it for so long. And it just became incredibly fun. One of the most fun few days I've ever had.
That's awesome. I think a lot of furries can relate to that because I remember when I first went to my first ever furry convention, I was extremely overwhelmed. I was like, fursuits in public, and it was really the first time I was exposed to seeing furries in the public when in downtown Atlanta, because it's this vast city. You just don't think that this would happen, and then it did. And I definitely remember at Megaplex I had to wait in a super long line for my room key, and it was absolutely hilarious. People were like waiting. It was cool seeing people like with all their fursuit stuff. I think someone brought a giant TV with like tons of consoles. They were definitely planning to have like a party or whatnot in that room.
Sounds quite cool. I think that'd be quite a popular room party. I don't think anyone went quite to that extent at Confuzzled, but if anyone in the UK who plans on attending Confuzzled wanted to take note, then I wouldn't be too opposed to joining them for that.
I think there was, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there was sort of a gaming event or panel happening, but it wasn't a room party. I think it was just a sort of room with consoles. I'm not too sure because we didn't actually go to that one, but I think there was something like that.
There's a little bit about that here in the States. Furry Week in Atlanta had a huge video game room and had a lot of like fighters and old consoles. Megaplex didn't really have that much. I think it varies from convention to convention, but that's typically something normal here in the United States. Now, while at Confuzzled, was there anything different that took you by surprise? Either if it was the artist alley, the dealer's den, panels, or dances, or something completely unique?
Yeah, definitely. You go first.
First of all, like I touched on a little bit earlier, the sheer scale of it. I mean, I've only before been used to seeing furries maybe in a bar in the middle of a city. Seeing them completely filling out a large hotel in itself is quite overwhelming. But you think for a con that size, you might bump into people you know. You bump into people you know quite a bit, actually. I thought we might only see people we know maybe a handful of times while we're there, but we bumped into a good friend of ours called Bluey. We bumped into him countless times. So there's that. There's also how tight-knit certain areas of the convention are. Of course, in the panels and that, it's like they've all been friends for years. All the people who are in these panels, they just literally go in and they click. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. And even in public areas, like in the bar, because in that hotel, there's a bar at the back, which sort of overlooks the lake and has like music playing. There was a really nice vibe in there. Everyone there were talking to one another. It was really social. It was just really nice and really pleasant. I mean, someone came up and sat down with me and Susie for a bit, and we were talking for maybe a good hour before we had to disappear to get food, so we can attend the opening ceremony later that day.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Like, for me, it just felt like I don't really know how to describe it. Like, the best way I can describe it is like it's sort of like a party sort of atmosphere, but just constantly. So, like up until from early in the morning up until late at night, there's furries around, there's fursuiters, there's people outside. There's always somebody to talk to. I think even if you don't know anyone, I mean, obviously we went together, so we were never lonely, but I think even if you don't know anyone, it's so easy to just chat to people or find someone you might have met before. I mean, for me, I normally get a little bit of social anxiety, but I really didn't feel that much at all during the convention. It just seems so easy to just chat to people, and it's a really nice feeling as well when people kind of recognize you from maybe a previous meet or from online, and it's just really nice to see them in person. And one thing that did stand out to me as being quite different, I thought, was actually the dancing, like the dance competition. because I always watch those on YouTube because I find them really entertaining. And I think to see that in person for the first time, because obviously the fur meets don't really have anything like that, that was really amazing to finally actually be there in person and see something like that. Very different to anything we've really seen before.
I absolutely love the dance competition. It like what you said, watching it on YouTube and then actually being there in the audience and watching it happen in front of your eyes, you're just like, wow, this is great. Another thing is at the furry conventions, all the entertainment which is put on really is sort of like tailored like towards different interests and of course the fandom in general. So you're never really going to get bored with the different entertainment they have on. And there's that many options of what they have on as well. Like they've got art shows, of course, the dance competition. They had another like dance competition where two people went against one another. And apparently they do this at US cons quite a bit. Yes. It was called Paws on Water, I think it was called. And that was really good. I think that's the first time they ever did it at Confuzzled, but it seemed to be quite a success. And they had like a pub quiz on the first night. They had all sorts going on.
Yeah, there is a lot going on at each of the furry conventions. I remember at Megaplex, because I can't speak on Confuzzled since I wasn't there, unfortunately. They had like variety of different panels and different interests. So it's tailored for so many furries and for you to experience your like the panels that you want to be a part. And it's always fun being like in panels that are entertainment wise and something that you've never quite imagined you would do before. I always go back to Brain Freeze's How to Train Your Puppy panel, where I had to be trained to put a ball on my nose and no one could speak about it. They could only clap. And I had no idea what I was doing half the time. I didn't know beforehand. So kind of leading into that, what was your favorite panel?
Ooh, that's actually quite a hard one, you know. I've got to say TikTok first. I mean, I'm fairly like new to the whole TikTok thing, really. And I have made a few videos on TikTok before, but I thought I'd attend the TikTok first panel to see if there's people who show up on my TikTok there to like meet them and that. And I wasn't disappointed in that aspect because there was plenty of people who were quite well known on the furry side of TikTok. They were in attendance. And also to look at tips and that on how to sort of grow yourself on TikTok, basically, on how to reach a wider audience and make better content tailored to a vaster range of people. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, my favorite was the TikTok panel because I'm not even on TikTok yet. I plan to at some point, but I did find that panel really interesting. And it was really funny as well because I think it was Aries Griffin from TikTok who was hosting the panel, but there was a lot of fursuiters in there kind of sort of messing about during the panel and being up at the front and just making it really funny and entertaining. And I think because that was quite a small panel as well, it made it a little bit more fun because everyone was just kind of there to like have a laugh and like meet each other. And we all had a big group photo at the end of that. So that was just really fun. It was just a really nice atmosphere in that one.
Yeah, that would be a panel I would be curious to check out because I don't have a TikTok. I've heard one of my college professors was like, you should get a TikTok. And I had another college professor like, no, you shouldn't. So I've been very curious about TikTok. So that would be a panel that I would be curious with. Now, I saw a few of your photos on Instagram, and besides being insanely jelly while I did dog sit 4 dogs alone while my parents were out of town, I saw that you were at like the DJ and there were dances. Was there a favorite song at the rave or the DJ that you enjoyed the most?
Chickatrade.com. Of course that.
Yeah, so they did the last sort of DJ set was called, well, the last one that we went to was called the Chav Rave, which is a very British thing, but that was hilarious. Like the amount of energy in that room was absolutely insane. That was just it. I don't even know how to describe that. It was so funny, and everyone was just so into it. It was one of the wildest things I've ever seen.
How late were you out at the dances? Because I know that they go pretty late in the United States.
About 1 in the morning.
Quite late. Yeah.
Uh,
1, 2 in the morning, something like that.
about U.S. convention. I remember being at dance at Megaplex the last night. I don't think I got back until like 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning. It was a lot of fun. And then with the panels and all of that, was there a panel about the furry fandom that you did not expect was going to be there, but was there?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I was quite surprised to see the variety of panels, and panels on very specific sort of subjects. So there was actually a Sonic one, which I didn't actually get a chance to go to. I think we were doing something else, but a friend of mine actually came by and gave me some of the little pins that they were giving away at the Sonic meet, which was really nice. But I think that it's quite good how there's such a variety in panels. I can't really think of one that stands out off the top of my head, but there's definitely a lot more variety than what I was expecting to see.
So with this being at the convention, we talked about this in the Megaplex episode about fursuits and what were some of the coolest fursuits in attendance and some of the best performances. What were some of your favorite fursuits in attendance?
That's a hard one.
Yeah, there were a lot of amazing fursuits. One actually that really stood out to me, and you're probably going to say the same thing, was the first, I don't know their name, but they were the first performer in the dance competition. And their suit was entirely white, but it had like LED lights that corresponded with the music underneath. And that was just amazing. Like, I've never seen anything like that before.
It was absolutely amazing. Like how they did that, honestly, it's just phenomenal.
Were there any like performances from fursuiters that you found to be very like energetic or standing out?
I know of one which was by a non-fursuiter, which really stood out to me.
Oh, interesting.
That was, I don't know if you're familiar with Blue the Dragon. He's a furry YouTuber and he's a professional dancer as well. And he was one of the judges for the dance competition. And at the end of the competition, they brought him up on stage to do like a performance. And I was not expecting what he did. And he did it all in high heels as well. And I was like, oh, wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, he was absolutely amazing. Like, we were both completely blown away by that.
Yeah.
I can't dance in high heels, let alone walk in high heels, or
me too.
Or it will be Fluff It in the hospital. Where Felix is in more braces.
Not fun.
Well, hopefully not.
Hopefully not. One's enough. So, with Confuzzled ending and every furry convention, it's like the most awesome experience ever until you have to go home. And it's not fun. I remember going home from Megaplex and I was extremely down. I felt very sad. I'm sorry if this is going to be a question that maybe brings that sadness back for a short while. What was your favorite memory at Confuzzled?
Probably on the last night, when I mentioned the Chav rave. There's two of them, actually. What I'd say are on par. That's one of them. That was really, really fun, of course, with the amount of energy and all that. It was just so fun. And another one was they had, like, cheesy kids music and that, and they were playing, like, Barbie Girl and Agadoo and stuff like that. And me and Susie were dancing to Cotton Eye Joe. And that was just really, really fun. I actually really enjoyed that. Really expect to walk in there and end up dancing to Cotton Eye Joe, but it happened.
Did you get that on film?
I didn't, but I'm hoping that somebody did. I'm honestly, I'm really hoping that someone did. I know we mentioned before, one of our friends, Bluey, he told me did have some videos from the raves, I think, but I haven't seen them yet. So I'm really, really hoping so. To answer the question, like, my favorite memories, again, definitely the Chav rave. Just the amount of energy was amazing, and on par with that would also be the dance competition. Like, watching that, like I mentioned before, in person was really, really amazing. And also one of the evenings where we were just kind of hanging out in the lobby quite late at night, and there was just like so many fursuiters around, and it was just a really nice atmosphere that you would just really never get anywhere else. And I think just that in general was like a really good memory as well, just with such a unique atmosphere that I just don't think you'd find anywhere else in the world, to be honest.
Yeah, it's truly a magical place whenever you are at a furry convention. It's so much fun, and I am super looking forward to the future furry conventions to come. Now, this is probably a very dumb question, but do you plan to attend Confuzzled again next year?
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%.
And then for any furries that are either they've listened to the Megaplex episode or this episode with Confuzzled, what advice would you tell a furry who might be on the fence of going to a furry convention? Where are they missing out?
I would say it's definitely worth it, 100%. Even though they're expensive, it is worth it. Any sort of advice I would say, just be prepared. Bring your fursuit if you have one. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you have plenty to eat. And really, like, you don't have to force yourself into anything, but try to like socialize and try to make a little bit of an effort to sort of get to know people and stuff, because it does really make it a lot better when there's people who you can talk to there. And honestly, just having a good time. Like, we tried not to plan too much. We just sort of went each day with, like, each morning we'd look at the schedule and say, okay, we want to do this. Don't really have too many sort of plans and expectations, because I think it's so much better when it's sort of spontaneous and you just kind of go in with what's happening or what you feel like doing at the time. Yeah, that's what I would say. If you're unsure about going, it's 100% worth it.
I don't think you could have said that better.
Absolutely.
Another thing I'd say is, like, if even something daft, like if you're at a bar or something and someone makes small talk with you or you make small talk back with them, just sort of engage in a conversation with them, because you might be surprised with maybe like how much you have in common, how well you might click. You can make a new friend off that. And the opportunity to do that is quite literally around every corner at somewhere as big as Confuzzled.
You've said
Absolutely. And to add on to that as well, I mean, I took a load of photos while I was there, and today I've been sending them out to people, and even doing that opens up a little bit for conversation. Like, I've had a few conversations with people today online who I've never spoke to before, and it's quite nice because now I can kind of, if I see them at another con, I can say like, hey, I remember you, I've spoke to you and stuff. And I think it's such a good opportunity to make friends, like, and you really don't find that anywhere else. Especially, I think most of us like furries are quite awkward sometimes, so it's an opportunity to not have to feel awkward and to just kind of go for it and get to know people.
You both said it perfectly. That's how I felt with Megaplex, is like, definitely go out and meet people and don't be afraid to say hello, because these are people that with very similar interests in you, and everyone is out for a super fun time. And I'm super glad that the two of you had a ton of fun at Confuzzled. I wish I was there.
Maybe someday you will be.
Hopefully.
I hope you can make it in future. That would be brilliant if all three of us could go.
That would be awesome.
I'll
Hadley...
nominate you to sleep in the bath, Susie.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I'll just sleep on the floor like I nearly did after we had those furry cocktails.
Oh my word, that was so funny.
Oh boy, that is a conversation I don't want to hear about. But but thank you so much, Hadley, for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on Fluff It.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed my time here today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
And we will be back in Anthrocon here in a few weeks. Again, if you want to see us in person, we will be at Anthrocon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we will be running a convention we will be running a panel. Yes, an exclusive Fluff It convention. But we will be running a panel Friday at 7. We wish to see you there, but until the next time on Fluff It, have a fluff-tastic day and stay fluffy.
We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.